So hear me out. Cristina was totally condescending and passive-aggressive to Meredith. On my rewatch, I realized that while Cristina technically wasn't wrong, she didn't exactly give Meredith a chance to breathe. Like the woman had just come back, Cristina kept repeating this whole, "It's okay to be a mom" line, but let's be honest, that wasn't encouragement, that was shade in a trench coat. This is your best friend. There were a dozen better ways to say, "Hey, you're not ready to scrub in yet," without making her feel like she was failing at life. Meredith wasn't even being combative. Yes, she was upset, but Cristina was emotionally stunted in that moment. Maybe it was loneliness, Owen dating, Meredith busy with her family, but Meredith didn't disappear for fun. Zola hit her head. Emergency parenting doesn't equal career apathy. And let's not forget, Zola is Cristina's goddaughter, or whatever vague honorific they gave that relationship. So Cristina casually saying she doesn't care? Way out of line. I haven't even gotten to the full feud yet, but in this particular moment, Cristina came off as painfully passive-aggressive. Meredith had every right to be upset. She literally just returned from maternity leave and was immediately met with judgment. Cristina then rattles off Bailey and Callie as shining examples of ambitious working momsadom, which was rich. Bailey only got to hyper-focus on surgery because her husband wasn't working, and Callie had 2 co-parents, Mark and Arizona. And let's not pretend Bailey didn't constantly dump her kid on interns. Meanwhile, Meredith asked Shane to pass on one message, and suddenly she's slacking off. The idea that Bailey was the poster child for professionalism is laughable. She turned down the PEDS fellowship because she was going through a divorce and couldn't juggle single motherhood with the program, rightfully so. As for Callie, she had a literal village. Cristina using those examples to critique Meredith felt less like constructive criticism and more like, I'm going to compare you to people I don't actually know that well just to prove a point. Yes, Cristina was right to take Meredith off the case, but throwing "you let up" in her face on day one? Come on. Meredith and Cristina always represented 2 ends of the spectrum. You can have it all versus you can only have one thing if you want to be the best. Every time Cristina called out Meredith's split focus, it triggered all that unresolved trauma from Meredith's childhood, being called ordinary, never being enough. Cristina, on the other hand, never cut herself any slack. So of course, she couldn't extend grace to the people she loved, either. That's just how she was wired, but that's also why it mattered so much when, before heading off to Zurich, Cristina told Meredith she is an excellent surgeon. It was the validation Meredith always wanted, from her mother, from Derek, from Cristina. It closed their arc perfectly. Friends for life, differences and all. Now, to be clear, Cristina was better than Meredith in surgery. She was obsessed. Surgery was 90% of her personality, maybe more once she and Owen split. And that's not bad, but let's not act like Meredith didn't have her priorities. She cared more about her family and her marriage, and honestly, even more than Derek did. Because while Derek liked to talk about equality, he absolutely pulled ahead every chance he got. In a way, Derek held Meredith back. Maybe he would have stepped aside eventually to let her shine. Or maybe he'd have found some shiny new brain map to obsess over. But it's telling that once Derek died, Meredith started thriving. Her world narrowed to her kids and her career, and suddenly, she had the space to succeed. So yeah, Cristina had a point, but the delivery? Brutal. And Meredith deserved better from her person. There are so many good ones, but the one that lives rent-free in my head is from Eric Lange, Sikowitz from Victorious, when he absolutely loses it on his wife in the Grey's Anatomy Season 12 premiere, Sledgehammer. She's threatening to sue the entire hospital and ship their daughter off somewhere, and he just explodes. BTHNI, shut upu. Iconic, the chaos, the drama. I can hear it like it's playing right now. You picked a good one. I pictured that whole scene the second I read it. My favorites aren't always one-liners so much as mini arcs, but they stick with me. Like really old guy, hilarious, especially the moment he announces he's dying and then just starts pushing like it's some dramatic final act. Honestly, they could have made a whole storyline around him. The contrast is hilarious. Grey's Anatomy is so much more over the top. Like, who knew you could actually write a compelling medical drama without every character making bafflingly terrible life and career choices every single episode? Sure, the private practice crew messes up too, but at least their bad decisions feel like something their characters would actually do. It's not just, Derek's life is going too smoothly. Time for an unhinged breakdown in the or, is it worth rewatching the show? Short answer, yes. Long answer, also yes, but let me explain. I watched the series about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, then kept up with the new seasons as they dropped. I've noticed a lot of people rewatch it religiously, like it's a sacred ritual. I've been on the fence. Sure, I love the show, but there are so many seasons. Do I really want to emotionally relive all that again? That said, I recently started my first rewatch, and honestly, I'm enjoying it more the second time around. Shocking, I know. But once you already know who lives, who dies, who hooks up, who implodes, you can relax and actually appreciate the details. The nuance, the foreshadowing, the decent writing in the early seasons. Plus, I'm more emotionally prepared this time. Some of those episodes were a lot the first time. Looking at you, trauma-heavy storylines. Now, I can skip or brace myself when needed, which makes the whole experience way more manageable. Yes, some episodes still feel like filler because they are, but buried in all that are fantastic storylines and little moments that hit even harder on the rewatch. Like today, I got a solid laugh out of Robin's accidentally calling Weber old in a random conversation with Bailey. Did I remember that scene before? Absolutely not. Did it make my day? You bet. And honestly, going back to the early seasons, it's like vintage Shonda Rhimes. Pure drama gold. Knowing what's coming adds a delicious layer of irony. Like seeing Gary Clark show up for the first time and immediately going, oh boy, this guy, so yeah, it's worth it. Rewatch it for the nostalgia, the new perspective, and the oddly comforting chaos. Owen's relationship timeline, S5 onward. A masterclass in red flags, so I'm on my probably 20th, don't judge, rewatch of Grey's Anatomy, and something new finally clicked. Owen Hunt's relationship timeline is kind of a mess, even by Seattle Grace standards. We first meet Owen at the start of season 5, when he rolls in like a war-hardened superhero, saving a limo driver and the wealthy ladies who hit black ice. He makes a grand entrance, stabs a pen into a man's neck to save him hot, and then promptly kisses Cristina in the trauma bay like he's in a Nicholas Sparks movie. We're told he's on leave, but has to go back to finish his tour. Okay, fine. A few episodes later, he returns. Tour complete, just like that. But here's where it gets murky. Turns out, Owen had a fiancée, Beth. You know, the kind of detail that maybe should have come up before making out with someone new in a hospital hallway. From what we gather, he and Beth were engaged for a while during his deployment. He even mentions her to a fellow soldier, Dan, in S6E18, trying to keep the guy conscious by talking about how they were both engaged, classic bonding. So the timeline goes something like this. Owen kisses Cristina in S5, while technically still engaged to Beth. Yikes. Cristina learns about Beth in S5E14, and yet, no major freakout. No connecting the painfully obvious dots that this guy literally cheated on his fiancée, and maybe isn't the emotional safe haven one should run to. Cristina girl, to be fair, one of the show's recurring themes is you can't help who you fall in love with. Meredith says it like it's gospel. Plus, Cristina once told Meredith that she cheated on all her exes, so maybe she's not judging. Still, anyone thinking clearly in season 5 would have seen the walking red flag in army boots. PTSD, emotional instability, unresolved ex-fiancé drama. And yet Cristina dives in headfirst. Because why not? In conclusion, Owen's Season 5 love life is a train wreck in slow motion, and Cristina was somehow like, yes, this is fine. Personal style versus personality. A Grey's Anatomy fashion rant. Okay, can we talk about how some of these character styles just do not match their personalities? Let's start with Maggie. Why is she always dressed like she's a grandmother attending a medical board meeting? She's young, brilliant, and bold in the oar. So why does her wardrobe scream early bird special at Denny's? I love when we get to see the characters outside their scrubs, but honestly, the styling could be a lot more adventurous. Where's the flair? Where's the personality? Callie used to bring it with those fun, edgy looks until around season 7 or 8 when, poof, it was like her fashion sense packed up and left Seattle. Cristina's style was a bit of an enigma. That whole motorcycle jacket, badass look, totally didn't align with her obsessive, type A work persona, but weirdly, it worked. It added depth, like hey, maybe she does have a wild side. Risk taker outside the hospital, surgical goddess inside. Loved that contrast. I can't help but wonder how much of the actor's personal style influences their character's off-duty looks. Some of them post on social media wearing things uncannily close to their on-screen outfits. Coincidence? Doubtful. Take Arizona, for example. Her wardrobe was surprisingly bland and dark considering her personality, which is, sunshine in human form. She deserved brighter colors and a little more fun. And April? Look, I get the whole post-army vibe with the combat boots and maroon jacket. But did we have to see that exact outfit for like 3 seasons? Did wardrobe just give up? And Simone, don't even get me started. Her hair says edgy, cool, modern. Her outfits? April's hand-me-downs. The pea coat, the same maroon jacket. It's like someone in wardrobe said, give her April's leftovers, no one will notice. We noticed. So who's the reigning third wheel of Grey's Anatomy Season 21? Blue or Winston? Let's start with Blue. Dead last in his intern cohort for surgeries, networking, or, let's be honest, basic screen relevance. His biggest storyline recently? A painfully stiff, crazy ex-girlfriend plot that felt like it was written by someone who skimmed a Reddit thread on toxic relationships and called it a day. The emotional depth of a wet napkin. Then there's Winston, who appears to be on a cross-hospital tour, swiping his ID badge in every department like he's collecting points for a free latte. He feels less like a character and more like a narrative placeholder. A warm body for the writers to vaguely gesture toward when they're unsure where to stick someone else. Adelaide's doing her best to spark something, but Winston's giving strong beige wallpaper energy. Easily one of the most forgettable attendings we've seen. If I'd had the power to cut one. It's a toss-up. I was genuinely worried about Winston post Maggie, and sadly, the show confirmed my fears. They had no clue what to do with him. Blue at least occasionally shows signs of life, even if they're mostly in subplot purgatory. And maybe that's why I don't reflexively groan when either of them shows up. They're relegated to the B and C plots, far away from the A-plot disaster zone. But please, for the love of Shonda, don't force Ndugu and Millen into a romance. Let them stay mentor/mentee. Her character already tests my patience, and I don't need her romantic drama dragging him down too. Okay, hear me out. Yes, it's random, but they seriously need to bring back Christina Ricci's character on Grey's Anatomy. Hannah Davies deserves a comeback. She owned that bomb episode. Nailed it. Perfect mix of terrified and heroic. I've been doing a deep rewatch because apparently I enjoy emotional destruction. And let me tell you, Christina Ricci can act. You give her a solid script, she delivers. No question. So yeah, let's dust off that trauma suit and bring her back. Sorry, Arizona, but the original Good Man in a Storm is ready for her return. Season 14? What did I miss? First-time viewer here, and I'm on episode 6 of season 14. Why does everything feel like it's happening at 2x speed? Nothing makes sense. Owen and Amelia suddenly get divorced with zero buildup. Amelia has a brain tumor, and then, poof, she's fine like one episode later, and Alex's whole revenge plot against Joe's husband shows up out of nowhere. Honestly, I had the same issue with season 12. Everything moves so fast and feels completely glossed over. Am I missing something, or did they just stop caring about pacing? Response? Nope, you're spot on. Season 14 feels exactly like one of those times when a show had 2 to 3 seasons worth of storylines left, but someone upstairs said, "Wrap it up. This is your last one." So they crammed everything in, no breathing room, no development, just plot whiplash. And as for Amelia, she didn't recover from a brain tumor. The tumor recovered from her. It grew so fast, no one even had time to notice her haircut was terrible before it was already getting operated on. Is it time for another time jump? Season 21 edition. If my math's right, and it usually is, Season 21, Episode 15, Bust Your Windows, aired April 17th, takes place in universe around late May to early June 2023. There's actually a satisfying little parallel here. Seasons 1 through 3 covered one academic year, 2006 to 2007. And now seasons 19 through 21 have done the same for the new class, 2022 to 2023. Neat, right? So how are we feeling about finally catching up to real time? When the show returns this fall, the current interns would realistically be starting their 4th year of residency. Time jump potential? Absolutely. I mean, they've done it before, some more gracefully than others. Looking at you, S17E17. Would you want it all handled in one neat little episode or two? Think S11E22, S11E23, or S12E09, or maybe a jump peppered with... Then again, maybe we just pretend we're still living in mid-2023 and ignore the whole real-time thing altogether. If a time jump is on the table, what would you want to see? More importantly, what would make you rage quit? Personally, I'm in the time jumps are lazy writing camp. We've been there, done that, got the gray Sloan hoodie. Let them stay slightly behind real time. It spares us the heavy-handed, ripped from the headlines arcs. A short jump between seasons, 3 months tops, works for me. Just enough to get Jo to her due date and settle in some new interns. But skipping their 2nd year entirely? Pass. That said, rumor has it a new intern shows up in the last 2 episodes. So yeah, buckle up. A jump might be coming whether we like it or not. So I need to know, am I losing my mind, or does anyone else feel the same? I'm watching Grey's for the first time, and I'm in the middle of season 19. Just about at the end of the 3rd season. I'm on that episode where Jo casually tells Link she's made a reservation at his favorite pizza place, all cute and sweet-like. Then Teddy, of course, turns to Owen like it's the most obvious thing in the world and says, they need to get a room, they're clearly hooking up. Excuse me? A few scenes later, Teddy, Owen, and Link are in the hallway, and Teddy drops this little bombshell, saying something along the lines of, "Oh, Link and Jo are totally together now, huh?" Link, probably about to lose his patience, says, "Nah, we're just friends." And Teddy, being Teddy, fires back with, "But you've slept together, right?" To which Link just deadpans, "You know that." Oh, what? I swear to God, didn't Jo and Link tell Teddy at some point in the last season or 2 that they had feelings for each other? And that they hooked up? I specifically remember Jo letting it slip once that she either slept with or loved Link. And then Teddy made some comment about how Jo and Link were both day drinking at Jo's bar when this came up, like it was no big deal. But no. Teddy's response was, "Oh, that doesn't count, they were drunk." You know how it is. Sure, Teddy, we get it. Drunk feelings don't exist. And then there was that whole dinner party at Meredith's house, remember that? Where Link, in some moment of honesty or vulnerability, admitted to Teddy that he might have feelings for Jo. But Teddy, in her infinite wisdom, told him, "Don't say anything to Jo. Just like, don't, because of course, her own sad, rocky friends to lovers story means everyone else's will crash and burn too. I mean, really? Twice she gave him this terrible advice about not acting on his feelings, as if her broken relationship is the blueprint for everyone's love life. Girl, just because you're dealing with your own mess doesn't mean you need to ruin it for the rest of us. And the Owen and Teddy storyline. Oh, don't get me started. They've dragged that will they won't they mess for seasons, only to basically throw it away in a blink. They're supposed to be these friends who are in love, but can't get the timing right. Except now, after all that buildup, their relationship just crashes. What? Twice? Seriously, twice, up to the point I'm at in season 19? It's like they built all that tension just to snatch it away in the most anticlimactic way possible. I swear, if I have to watch Teddy throw away a perfectly good relationship just because hers fell apart, I'm going to lose it. But hey, maybe that's just me. Am I crazy? Why does the show act like we all think Owen is the good guy? I'm on season 17, and let me tell you, Owen is the absolute worst. It seriously feels like the writers want us to root for him, even at the expense of everyone else. Well, guess what? I'm rooting against him. Teddy deserves so much better. So what if she had a fling with Tom? Owen is a walking disaster. He's a terrible human being who should just be alone. Ugh, but to be fair, I don't think we give the writers enough credit for his character. Sure, he's a trash husband, but he's an amazing surgeon, probably the best chief the hospital's ever had. The problem? Grey's Anatomy isn't about the surgeries anymore, so we don't get to appreciate trauma surgeon Owen as much as we should. I think what the writers are going for is the idea that people can change. Unfortunately, the fandom doesn't seem to buy it. Owen used to be a garbage person, but hey, he's grown. The only reason people refuse to see it is because he's not some dreamy heartthrob like Derek.